My name is David Hirth, and I've owned this Porsche Boxster for about 3 years now. Got a Porsche Boxster because my 944 that I had at the time, I had a Porsche 944 before this, and it was on its last leg. It was overheating, it just had a lot of issues. It was going to cost a small fortune to repair. And so I started looking to see if there was another Porsche that I wanted. I really like the brand. I can drive it every day and enjoy it. And when I found the Boxster, I actually was looking for a different car, but I found this model. I found the Boxster 986. I was looking for a 996 at the time. And after I drove it, I kind of fell in love with it and ended up owning it, and I've owned it for the 3 years now. It's not a very powerful car to drive, but when you drive it, the feel, the balance, it's just such a well-balanced car. When you take a curve, it's incredible. It won't overpower you. It's not slow. Maybe by today's standards, it's not going to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, but about 6 seconds to 60 isn't slow, and it's just a very nice ride. So this is my third Porsche. I've had a 924 that was a project car I bought for $200. That's a long story, and bottom line of it is don't buy a car from a guy that only does business through a fence with barbed wire and is in Oakland near Coliseum Way. Just tip. The other car I had after that, then I worked on that for a while, and then I moved up to a 944. A little more power. The 924 only had 110 horsepower. 944 was 150 horsepower. It's not a fast car, but it handles like it's on rails. So that was the 83, so the first year of US production of that car, and really enjoyed that. Had that for about 5 years. And then it was kind of starting to need a lot of repairs and just getting older. Had a few wiring mishaps and such where it would smoke while I drove it. So upgraded to the Boxster after that, and it just has been a very fun car to own and to drive. The top down gives you some nice feel. It's maybe a little feminine compared to like the newer 718 Boxster, but it's still a good looking car. It has the Porsche shape. Unlike the 924, the 944, this one has the look of a traditional Porsche, especially in the front. In the front, it looks like the 996 of the era. This is a 1999 Boxster, and outside of the controversial headlights, that shape is just what you want. Now the rear end looks a lot like the front end, and that is something you'll hear, but you learn it kind of grows on you after you own it for a while. You enjoy it. I even like the air intakes. I particularly like it in black. I've seen it in other colors. Some look okay, some not as much. Black kind of looks the most masculine to me of it. It's still it's an open air roadster, so it has a bit more of a feminine feel, but it's just a fun car, and you can get them for hardly any money, so that's always a bonus. So I went with the Boxster instead of a 911, mainly because I couldn't find a 911 in my price range at that time. At the time, I was looking for a 996 in about the $15,000 to $20,000 price range. And all the cars in that price range had one major flaw. They were not manual transmissions. They only had the Tiptronic, and I didn't want to lose the performance from the Tiptronic. So kept looking, started reading on some of the forums, and people that had Boxsters were saying they kind of missed it even after they upgraded to a 911. That got me thinking, just how is a Boxster to drive? Is it comparable? I had driven the 911 from the 991 911, and later on I drove a Boxster and a Cayman of the newer. But how were these early Boxsters to drive? The later one was great, but once you drive it back to back with the 911, you love the 911. So I got into this, And I have to say, I loved the way it drove. It wasn't fast, but it handled so well. It's got a very stiff suspension because this is before we have all the niceties that we have nowadays. But it's just a pleasant car to drive, a fun car. I use this as my daily driver. I drive it every day to work and it runs like a top. So I am looking at some modifications. I haven't done any really to it yet, except for I've upgraded the convertible top to a glass convertible top. The old plastic got all ruined. Other than that, it's just general maintenance, mainly oil changes so far. But one thing that I've been thinking about is upgrading the engine to a 996 engine. The crazy part of me really wants to find a GT3 of the 996 generation and get that engine out of it, stuff it in here, upgrade all the suspension, and the only thing I've looked into it, it's a little tricky to do, require a bit of work, especially with changing out the gearbox, because the GT3 gearbox, it goes a different way. But eventually I'd like to get a 911, at least a 996, the 3.4 liter engine into it, and just give it that little bit. It's fun to drive, and in 99% of the cases it's plenty of power. But that 1% wouldn't be bad to have just a little more grunt. So yeah, if someone's looking for a sports car, especially like a roadster or something like that, this is, unlike the 911, which has become more of a GT car, outside of certain variants, it's become, because this one only has 2 seats, it's your traditional sports car definition. It's a roadster, so you get that nice wind in your hair feeling. You can buy these for hardly any money right now. They're only a couple $1,000s, and it's hard to have more fun in a car.